Hey guys, what is up? Unrested back, and it is a holiday week for me. It is Thanksgiving week, which we get off from school, and the good thing about that is number one, I'll have 2 to 3 videos I think to catch up with just like members' videos. I always try to do one a week, and there was like 2 weeks where monetization was shut down, so it's impossible for me to segregate a member's video. Um, I think there was also one other week. Oh, I tried to have a live stream members video and it was like a massive failure. The sound was just too garbage because I didn't realize I had a Bluetooth headphone in. Anyway, enough explaining about that. If you've never joined a live stream before, check during this week. I'll probably be streaming on a day that you have off. If you're not normally able to join the weekend ones, I will have weekday ones all throughout this week just to kind of get in contact with all of you viewers, everybody. All right, those are not members based things. The live streams are open to everybody. I live stream them. They're usually AMAs where you can ask me anything you want. And if your question is good enough, it may be made into a video if you approve of me doing that. Anyway, let's jump into today's video topic, the biggest lie about Japan that I absolutely hate. It drives me the most insane, and that is Japan being super futuristic and technologically more advanced than any other place in the world. Now, I think most of you who've been with my channel for a long time, you probably already know most of this to not be the case. If you've done even the smallest bit of research, you'll know that there are some things about Japan so antiquated that it literally slows down the process of the things they do. For example, simple registration at your local ward is still done in pen and ink and recorded in a book. Some still use very antiquated computer systems. If you've ever seen that sort of spinach green TRS 880 GPU from the early 1980s, 1990s, that's kind of the computers they're still using at the ward office. They still have dot matrix printers there. One reason that you'll definitely know Japan is living in the past is when people hand you a meishi, which is a business card, it's got their fax number on it. And unless they're doing business with North Korea, I can't think of anywhere else in the world that would use a fax machine. Um, Japan is antiquated. So these are the lies about Japan that I hate the most, that I hate people spreading, talking about, trying to make videos about. And it's because, number one, it shows they're poorly researched, or maybe they've just never been to Japan and they're assuming stuff off of like one documentary they watched, or maybe some sort of sci-fi show or anime they watched about Japan. Maybe it's because of their own completely false ideas about Japan from very old like Discovery Channel or National Geographic shows that are like the man who created a robot that looks exactly like him. Yes, we've all seen that documentary. Or the man who fell in love with a robot in Japan. We have the story about one man who fell in love with his Love Plus character on a Game Boy Advanced, or I believe it might have been the 3DS at that point. I don't remember exactly which system it was. That's not even a robot, that's just a piece of software, and how you would fall in love with that doesn't really make much sense. Love Plus is a very basic game compared to what like these AI chatbots have and stuff today. So I guess desperate times, man. I don't know what to tell you. Let's get into some of the biggest rumors that I hear, and I've literally heard these as subjects of videos, um, in which people try to explain Japan in a way that just it's a false and sort of very negative view because it treats Japanese society as a form of entertainment and not a culture. Let's get into it. Number one, Japan uses robots more than America. Definitely false. I think people imagine this because they see niche items or niche things such as, electronic dogs sold at toy stores, which these are like very basic, running on wheels. It's like a remote control car that has been given a dog's body. This is not a robot. There's things like Robot Cafe. There was a very famous one in Japan, in Tokyo, called uh, Robot Girl Cafe. And I think people hearing this title immediately assume what their idea was to have girl-shaped robots at a maid cafe. It was not. This was actually, and this is no fault of Japan, it's just kind of a super funny thing they did. This was literally a shop where they would have places to eat on both sides of the restaurant, and there would be a middle area of the restaurant where like almost a mini parade could come through. Um, they had like literally tracked floats that would come through, and I'm not talking about like massive Macy Days parade floats. I'm talking very small, that could fit in a maybe a 1,500 square foot restaurant at max, and they would have girls on this float dressed in very cheesy, very shoddy robot uniforms. And they didn't, pretend like this was actually real robots or anything like that. It was just a funny theme. Like these girls would dance, they would like shoot confetti at people, they'd throw out food, they'd, come to your table and do like silly songs and stuff like that. Very innocent, um, very comical. It was definitely just a parody, I guess, of what maybe the average gaijin imagines Japan is like, and then you get there and you're like, this is just a girl in a robot costume. Maybe that was what the idea was. It was very funny, very entertaining. Sadly, it did shut down during COVID, but it had been around since like the early 1990s. And it was literally just like girls wearing these almost look like suits of armor with lights attached to it. Like very, very cheesy, like imagine 1950s idea of a robot. And that's all it was. There is cafes which have a pepper robot there, which, I mean, even a pepper, I don't really consider that a robot. If you've ever seen what the pepper robot is, it's not a robot that has legs. It has an somewhat humanoid shaped upper torso and then a body that sort of, I don't know what you would say, melts down into a set of wheels that once again roll around like a remote control car. And then it has hands that are like locked in place like this, holding an iPad. And it doesn't have a mouth that moves or anything like that. There's like just some LED lights that go up and down. There's eyes that are LED lights that move around. And you literally choose everything and do everything through the iPad that it is holding. So it is a remote control car holding an iPad. That's pretty much all it is. The voice, the interaction, the conversation you would have with it. Most times it's an AI chatbot connected via that laptop, that tablet that is, forcibly shoved into its hands, or usually most times I think just like molded to its hands. Again, not a robot. It's like an iPad on, a remote control car. That's it. They do have like sensors and stuff. They can move around. Okay, maybe like a Roomba, a Roomba with an iPad. That's pretty much what it is, because it can kind of sense if it's going to bump into something and move, or if it can't get over something, it'll stop and turn around. So, the future is bright. Of course, there's certain automated like robotic factories and stuff like that, the same as America. They use robotics within the making of their cars and things like that. These are not robots that move around making cars. These are just like giant arms that move things that are too heavy for a human to, or move things that would possibly get a human killed or injured. Hence, a robot does it instead. I think we all understand how this works. Next up, we've got Japanese have relationships with robots and robot pets. This was a lie I heard in a Gaijin Goomba video. A man who's been to Japan like, I think, 3 or 4 times. I think he lived there for like half a year one time. And his concept of Japan is pretty narrow. The only, the only very, very, I'd say, articulated and correct thing I've heard him say about Japan is don't go there during the summer. I would agree 100% with him about that. Japan is hell in the summer. Maybe in Sapporo is the only place I would suggest going, Hokkaido. He had this one about Japanese and the relationship to robots. As you know, many people in Japan have deep relationships with robots and robot pets. No, they don't. Nobody has any robots in their house. Okay, I've never met a single Japanese person or gone to a single Japanese house that has a robot. Not even like robot pets. And when they say robot pets, again, guys, it's just a remote control car or a Roomba with a pet body on it. And when I'm saying like a pet body, it's like a solid plastic dog-shaped thing. Like that's it, or a solid plastic cat-shaped body. These are just niche items, usually bought by little kids. Um, Even some of the robots I see shown in videos talking about how advanced Japan is, they even have robots in their house. And the robot they will show is it's called Abe Sapien or the Sapien robot. And it's like a $25 toy you buy at like Juiceco or Big Camera, which is it's the equivalent to like Walmart. All right, like that. I hate that. Like I'm that's so annoying. Imagine if you went to Walmart and picked up a toy robot, brought it to your house, showed it on camera, and be like, look, every American has a robot in their house. Like, that's the equivalent of what these videos try to feature. The same with the robot pets, too. These are just like really cheap, like $30 or $40 toys that run on batteries for about like a day and then die out. Maybe you buy it for a gift for a kid who messes around with it for a little bit until they tire of it, and then they just sit in the corner of their room like any other toy you would buy a kid. I mean, this is not something that the Japanese bring into their house. They give it a name, they adopt it, they pet it and say hello, good morning, tiny robot Neko. This isn't a real thing. Um, please, if you're ever watching a video and the reference people are making is from an anime or a manga, they're like, just like in this anime or just like in this manga, really become skeptical of the information you're being given, okay? Um, it's the equivalent of taking comics in America and basing life in America on them, all right? None of us are living in Gotham. Um, please, please be careful, even with my sources of information. And a lot of people, they asked in my last video too, where I said there's like these videos that are like lies about Japan. They ask, why don't you show those videos and talk over them? I'm not going to deal with DMCA. I've tried to do that before with top 25 about Japan and immediately got hit with a DMCA notice, even though I was talking over the whole video. I'm just not interested in dealing with that again. So I'll talk about the videos. You can go search them up. The next one is there are robot cafes in Japan. Like every cafe has like at least one robot waitress or waiter, right? No. The thing you got to understand about Japan, there is a lot of cafes. There's places where you're looking to chill, to get out of your house. A lot of people, even if they meet up with a friend, they don't tend to meet them in their house because the houses are small or they're packed full of stuff. Some Japanese houses tend to be a little bit on the hoarder side. And if you've only got a house the size of like a large closet, you don't have room to invite a friend over. Maybe there's not even a place for two people to sit, especially in Tokyo. So they go meet up at a cafe. And there's many, many, many cafes with many different themes. There's cat cafes. I'm sure you've heard of those. Every cafe in Japan is not a cat cafe. There's owl cafes. Not every cafe in Japan is an owl one. There's even bunny ones. There's probably even other pets I've never even considered. And this is a theme. This is to make them unique. This is to give you another reason to go to them or choose them because perhaps you really like this thing. And yeah, there's robot cafes. And guess who's there serving you? Pepper. Again, it's an iPad on a Roomba. All right. It's an iPad on a vacuum cleaner, pretty much. That's all you're getting served by. From what I've heard about these kind of cafes and stuff like that, they said it actually takes even longer to get waited on because like you have to have the robot be initiated and stuff like that the costs tend to be higher because I don't know, I guess they're paying a massive electric bill. I'm not sure why it's more expensive to, you've replaced your staff with a robot and now you've got to charge more money even though you don't have a staff to pay. I don't quite understand that, but they tend to be more. The coffee tends to be pretty crap. It's usually like instant coffee. And if they serve any kind of food too, it's very subpar. It's just like microwaved garbage. So, I mean, if you really want that experience, it would be like, I saw a robot at a cafe. Well, you saw a remote control car holding an iPad. Japan has the most advanced robots on Earth. No, not quite. I looked this up. The first thing that came to mind was I thought, doesn't Boston Dynamics have the most advanced ones? So I looked it up. It's not only Boston Dynamics. There's a couple different places. Tesla, America. Figure, based in Southern California, America. Boston Dynamics, based in America, and Hanson Robotics, which are actually based in Hong Kong. So those are where the most advanced robots currently exist, are being operated on. I'm sure you've seen the Boston Dynamics videos of the dancing, flipping, running dog-sized robots and stuff like that. You have not seen any videos like that out of Japan, because Japan doesn't really tend to make stuff like that. There is some great supercomputers in Japan that take up like an entire room full of servers and everything like that, and they do tend to keep up with that aspect. There are some chips made in Japan that they have a great deal with America to make some of the most advanced chips, and that is stuff that is pretty advanced for Japan. Those same things also exist in India and Taiwan as well. So that's not really a Japanese-based thing. And none of those, for the most part, none of those CPUs are used in any robots in Japan. If they are robots that are not seen by the public. Perhaps the US military and the SDF work on robots together that we never get to see. I could believe that, but until I see it, it's just literally like a theory. Japanese don't have the most advanced robots. There's not houses with robots. There's not robot butlers. There's not robot maids in Japan. Please, if you ever see someone showing a video or talking about this, question what you're seeing in that video. Maybe do a reverse Google search of what they're showing. Like I've told you before, I've seen people talk about how like they have pets that are robots or little servants in their house that are robots. And then if you Google that robot, you'll see it's sold for like, a few sen at big camera. Okay. Question what you're seeing online. And again, even question the things I'm saying here. And my last but most favoritists of all rumors about Japan. Japan will use robots to help replace the workers of a dwindling population. By 2050, as we all know, Japan's population will most likely completely be cut in half, and it's still headed down that path. It's not looking good. I see these like goofy commercials of people wearing like robotic suits to do things, or like robots lifting old people out of bed. I've never seen such a thing in Japan. You might want to check if those are just CGI. Please realize with Unreal Engine 5, you can make stuff that looks like photorealistic at this point. Maybe there is some sort of prototype that does this, and you're probably watching actors in a commercial get lifted out of a bed, not an actual for real elderly care person at an elderly care center with robot nurses. I can tell you my family's in the medical business in Japan, and they don't have a single robot employed. In fact, they would be horrified to have such a thing suggested. Robots are not 100% fail-proof. There is not robots that they would trust to handle the human care or human touch of a nurse or a doctor in Japan. They take elderly care pretty serious, and I don't think they would just be like, all right, someone's got a new robot out that takes care of elderly people. Let's supply the whole hospital with it. No, Japan is still facing the same crisis as they did before, where they're going to have an underwhelming workforce, an aging and quintupling elderly population. We're into the doubles and triples of diapers sold for adults rather than babies in Japan at this point, and it's not looking good. Robots are not taking over Japan. In fact, Japan hasn't really adapted a lot of AI either, which is kind of confusing sometimes. Not that I'm saying like let's replace everything with AI right away, but there is one thing AI is kind of good at, and that is translation. All right, it's kind of good. It's not perfect, okay? And Japan still doesn't seem to be using that to create anything as far as marketing, as far as ads, as far as instructions are concerned. I'm still reading stuff that says it is enjoy time when buying a product there. So I'm unsure why AI has not been adapted yet. If you go to the board office, if you go to the immigration ward in, Cosmo Square or something like that, you still need to speak in Japanese. They don't have any AI translation. They don't use Google Translate. There's Nothing set up for them to have things translated for you via some sort of technology, which is kind of shocking. I mean, even in schools here in America, when we have Spanish speaking students who speak zero English whatsoever, we have things like, tablets, Promethean boards, Google Chromebooks, and stuff like that that help us with translation problems if we can't immediately get a translator into the room. I'm unsure why Japan refuses to adopt any of these things. I think it would be very helpful for them. Um, in general, you'll see Japan very, very slowly adapts to new technology. Um, sure, there's probably some companies, some organizations out there that are advancing far quicker than others. There's probably some at the top of the technology change that are on the way to trying to advance as much as possible. But for the most part, your average company, your average, especially government organization, very slowly adapts. Like I said, there's still things like fax machines being used at ward offices and stuff like that. The average Japanese salaryman has a fax number on their business card. No joke, I'm not being sarcastic at all when I say this. So technology very slowly changes in Japan. That said, I'd love to hear your own thoughts. I'd love to hear the things that you wonder if it's a lie about Japan, or maybe there's a video you've watched where you're like, this is not true at all. I wonder if Unrested's ever talked about this. Send it my way. Again, I want to alert all of you to the fact that I will be streaming throughout the week. It'll mostly be during night hours, Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Florida, if you're wondering, so it's going to be on that time zone. And come join me. Come hang out. Come see what you've missed in the past as far as streaming is concerned. It's a fun time. We hang out like a group of friends. Yes, we talk about Japan. Yes, people ask anything they want about Japan. They ask me anything they want about me. But we also just have some very, philosophical talks sometimes. You may have seen when I've clipped some stuff about what we're talking about, that sometimes we get very, I guess, existential or somewhat deeper into heavier subjects and stuff like that. If you enjoy those kind of conversations, come join. Or sometimes we just get really silly and play a game. We are looking to collab on some games coming up soon, like Phasmophobia or 7 Days to Die. So if you'd like to join one of those live streams too and be a participant in a live stream, think about that too. It's fun. We usually only have about like 30 people there. I'm not a massive streamer. Obviously, streaming is not what this channel is known for. And I'm still kind of, learning it myself. I can't even figure out how to dual stream, let alone like be an expert streamer or anything like that. But come join, come have fun, come join and meet the other friends I think you'll find there when you do join. All right. We also have the Discord open. I'll try to post a link on that if I remember to, but if I don't, join our stream, and it's posted every couple of minutes by our moderators and stuff like that for you to join. It's open to everybody right now. I want to thank all my members. I normally do go down and read a list of members. I'm into the hundreds of members now, which is flattering, shocking. I would end up taking the next 5 to 10 minutes of the videos reading names. So I need to figure out a new way to go about doing this, about thanking people. Members, do look for a video coming up. Probably we'll have it tomorrow, and I think you'll enjoy the subject that we're going to be talking about. Anyway, until next time, hit me up in the comments with what you think about today's video. Even if you don't have anything to say, maybe just post where you're posting from. Recently, I found I've got a lot of viewers from Finland and South Africa, as well as South America too. So let me know where you're commenting from or where you're watching from. Let me know if you've been a long-time viewer. Got a lot of those guys here. Let me know if you're a new person who's just joined because of my last video. I did get a lot of brand new subs from my last video. So say hi, let us know where you're from, and maybe come hang out on a stream. Until next time, I've been Unrested, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.